This world has been connected, tied to the darkness, soon to be completely eclipsed.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Proud Difficulty video walkthrough. We're doing a little bit of backtracking here, guys. We're going to be going back to Traverse Town, as you can see. And then from Traverse Town, we're going to be moving on to doing the Colosseum battle, which I think the next cup is it the Pegasus Cup with Hercules? I'm not too sure of the name. But to come here, there's obviously going to be plenty of stuff for you to do, because you've got a bunch of trinities and all those things. And I haven't been going through that, but know that I have been doing them off camera, so to speak, because they're useful and they're going to help you later on. But at this moment, you just want to be talking to Sid, you know, getting your gunmanship enabled so you can progress the plot. That is quite important. There are some areas you just literally can't go to unless you go to Sid, and the game is quite good at telling you when you need him. So you should never get lost because Sid, you know, it hasn't told you to go see Sid, because it's pretty good at that. It's not so good at telling you where to go in Deep Jungle, and it's not so good at telling you where to go in Atlantica, but in most places it's a little bit better. Also, you can be doing the postcard stuff if you want to. You can go and check on the Dalmatians. There is a unique enemy here that's in the Final Mix edition called the Sniper Wilds, which are... God, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. They're one of the worst enemies on the game, and they're a really good idea. I just don't think that they're that much fun to fight. And, you know, when you fight them correctly, it is quite nerve-wracking. It is quite exhilarating for one or two, but after that, it just gets kind of annoying. And the notion is, you have to kill them without them seeing you. If they see you, they spawn infinitely, and they've all got super fucking aimbot, and they just murder you with slingshots. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. But if you kill them in sequence by stopping them and attacking them, and they don't spot you, they're not so bad. It's just you've really got to play. You've got to see somebody do it wrong to realize how much better it is doing it right. And sometimes doing it wrong is not necessarily your fault. But this is not the Pegasus Cup. This is the Hercules Cup. I suppose that's kind of obvious. But let's see what we've got. We've got 5 gargoyles and 3 shadows. So we've already fought the gargoyles in Halloween Town. And the shadows, kind of, you know, we killed them from day one. We should be up on them. We should be okay. And all that's left to be done here is, remember to save your magic. Only really use your magic to heal, I would advise, or using command abilities on something that you deem quite challenging. And for the most, you should be okay with these enemies, because I don't think the Hercules Cup is that bad. I do know that there's a fight in here. I think it's against Cloud. And then there's Hercules, and the Cloud fight is hard. But it's only hard because he's an asshole and he's tough to counter. And I haven't found a super good way of beating him. Especially when you're full team, because your team just gets in the way. All they do is distract him. And he blocks everything. Like, guarding against him, I think I've got a pretty cool strategy where you guard him and you lure him into attacks and you guard and then you counter. But even then, it's not as quick as I would like. Like, I want to be able to get him in like Ars Arcanum stun locks and murder him in 2 attacks. I want to really shit stomp him. A bit like Riku too, because if you hit Riku correctly, you can seriously dampen his day and put him down really quickly. But yeah, the Buccaneers, 1 battleship and 4 pirates. I didn't really tell you about the battleship, so I might as well use this opportunity, because it's a pretty interesting enemy, as you can see. It's a battleship. And they fire these little obnoxious missiles at you that are really slow. And they just follow you. Like, just creepy missiles that are extremely interested in what you're doing. That is literally all they do. So there's Jafar, there's Genie, there's Lockstock, there's Hook. Now where's the enemy? Where is it? Aqua Tank. Battleship, here we are. So it says that they have 300 life. They attack with fire. They drop everything with a Lux money balls, MP balls, HP balls. And then they drop a 1% chance of dropping an elixir, apparently. Oh, there's a footnote to this though, guys. It says the elixir drop is only valid when you destroy either the stern, cannon, or the mast. So there's a 4% chance of an elixir, 16% chance of a power gem, and a 2% chance of an elemental ring. So they're actually a pretty decent enemy to farm. The only problem is, in the Colosseum, which is the easiest place to find every enemy in the game, they don't drop anything. And I understand it, it's a conscious design flaw. They've done it on purpose, because why would you ever go and see those other beautiful worlds that they've created and farm those world-specific enemies when you could just do it all in one place in half the time? So it's definitely a conscious thought. But this is the rare truffle. It's a very unique enemy in that the only way to kill it effectively is to get a high score, and it leaves after giving you a gift. But if you don't get a high score, it just leaves. And the book illustrates an interesting position of how to get, you know, the ridiculous hit it 300 times rewards. But it involves trapping it up against a wall. But here he is. Here's Cloud. And he doesn't have that many attacks. He does a standard, like 3-slash hit, which is called the... I think it's called the Omni-Slash on Chain of Memories, even though it's, you know, not the Omni-Slash. He also does this, which is this Stinger move, which is a pain in the dick. Because you can parry it, so you can stop him from doing it by blocking, but if you mess it up, it does massive damage. He'll always finish it with that big jump attack that has the radius. It also has wicked tracking, so if he comes for you, he will find you unless you move. Then afterwards, when you're attacking him, if he starts to guard, he's going to counterattack with that combo, so you want to be aware of that. And the strategy is simple, if a little slow. Evade and then hit him. Don't hit him too much because he'll start to guard, and sometimes he'll do that, which I think is very unfair. He just walks through your hits and starts comboing you. And those are the type of bits in this game that I would change if I could come back and do a director's cut, because like, I like games to make sense. I like to know when an enemy has hyper armor or when an enemy is, you know, immune to stun, and I want it to make sense so that in the future I know this is why I can't stun him and this is why I should avoid him, as opposed to he will sometimes take stun and go into a stun state, and other times he will flinch it off like I was a mosquito trying to do a big fat deuce on his face. And I don't like it. Like this. Why does sometimes that move knock him away and other times it doesn't? You know, there has to be reason. It can't be chaos is kind of what I'm getting at. And luckily enough, we've pretty much killed this guy. You can tech him, obviously, tech his attack and then counter, but that's another one that requires timing, and sometimes Sora is just not precise enough for that to be valid. But I'm going to do some videos once I've unlocked the select specific levels of the Colosseum rounds. But here we are. We've got a White Knight, 2 pirates, air pirates, and gargoyles. Very air-based. Couple of good strategies when you have good spells when you're in the Colosseum. To quickly kill enemies, at the very beginning you can stop them. If it stops all of them, you can hit them with a gravity that hits all of them, and then when Goofy and Donald start comboing and you start comboing, generally when the stop wears out, you'll have killed everyone in the room. Doesn't always work that way, but it's something that can really, really help. Just think of the spells that hit wide area of people. You know, stop is one of those moves I barely used when I was a kid, because I just didn't see the point in it. It put me in situations where I would chase Heartless to the end of the earth trying to smack them, and I would get frustrated that all they did was run away. And I never thought that I could stop the bastard, and then I'd hit it, and then it wouldn't run away. I just thought, you know, this is a highly evasive enemy, I've got to be highly acrobatic to catch it. When he blocks, bear in mind, he's going to always do that counter swipe, so either parry it with the block, or get the hell out of there. And be aware too, he generally shows off a little bit before he swings, so he's kind of easy to see. He telegraphs quite a lot, but even then, you can still get hit, and it does a lot of damage from them pirates. But Goofy's happy, there goes another wave. We'll see what's next. 2 battleships, 2 pirates, and an air pirate. So, you want to focus on the battleships just because they're the kind of enemy that likes to fly around and hit you at a distance. They're kind of the mosquito. See? Just like that. Off-screen getting hit by those silly, slow stalker missiles. And the ships themselves aren't that strong, and you get a hell of a lot of tech points just for hitting them, so they're really quick experience in some regards. Be careful of this. It does these little salvos that it does in a vertical line. But also be aware of the enemies like to kill you more than they like to kill your friends, so if there's a group of enemies and your friends aren't with them, they're probably going to be trying to make their way to you. And be careful of that move right there. The timing on dodging it can be tricky, because it tracks to you, and Kingdom Hearts is an older game, and because of this, it shows its age in moments where certain attacks miss you, and they'll still get hit, because the hitbox is a little bit bigger than the physical geometry. And this is something that happens in a lot of games. Like Dark Souls, I bring it back to Dark Souls, that's a big one. Like Castlevania Lord of Shadow had a fantastic one where when an enemy starts an attack, it's not the weapon that is dangerous at that moment. When it goes into an attack animation, its entire body is registered as a weapon. So you can be up against a big fat guy with a sword, he will swing back with his sword, and because he's arching his spine, his big belly's going forward, and if you touch his fat belly, it damages you as if it were his sword. And that is just something I don't think should exist at all. It's that notion of when you touch a boss in a shoot 'em up, it hurts you. Like, it doesn't hurt him when he's touching me. You know, there's got to be some logic here, guys. This is bullshit. But this is Hercules. Whenever Hercules is golden like that, he is a god. That was me getting a little bit ahead of myself, thinking that the auto-aim was going to save me, and it didn't. A couple of tips here. When you auto-aim, you cannot pick up barrels. So if you're wondering why won't it let me pick the barrels up, it's because you're locked on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There just seems to be this thing where it will not let me lock on and pick a barrel up. It just doesn't have it. So disengage your lock, pick the barrel up. It seems to just be much smoother that way. And when you stun him, you want to do a combo on him, and then you want to get away, because if he hits you with any of that ground nonsense, it does massive damage. But some of the barrel picking up stuff can be just finicky commands, finicky detection. So just bear in mind, it's an old game at this point. It does have some of those rough edges that games nowadays seem to have smoothened over to a degree that there are no edge at all. You know, the edge is gone. It's all so safe, so easy, so simple that nobody gets lost anymore. And sometimes you learn more by being lost than you ever will by always knowing the way, and I do think that is a valid part of game design that we seem to have forgot. In this, you know, this consumer marketing, this profit rat race, they're obsessed with making it as appealing to every single audience that they'll take out something that could be, you know, polarizing, that could make a pariah of certain people, and I think that's a mistake personally, but I'm not in game design yet, and hopefully when I am in game design I can put that philosophy forward and make a really good fucking game. But this is just repeat ad nauseum at this point. Hit him with the barrels, hit him with the combo. Watch out for that move. You'll notice I was stood in the ring when it went off and I took no damage. That is a display of the iframes in Sora's roll. They're not that reliable, but they're there. It's one of those notions of there are iframes, it's just exploiting them is not as easy as some games, unless you've played this game a shit ton and you're all up on the frames. This move here is really easy to guard against. If you guard it, it sometimes stuns him and you can get a free combo, but this is the point where I wasn't guarding, I was evading, so, you know, my bad. But that is the end of the Hercules Cup, and I think once you beat Hercules, you get to seal the Colosseum. That is not to say that that is the end of it. There is a significantly tougher cup coming up. There are also some specific matches against extremely tough bosses. One of them is an Ice Titan, who is a giant asshole. Spends the entire fight spamming you and extremely difficult to hit. And then the other one is Sephiroth, which a lot of people think is the hardest fight in the game. But he's extremely vulnerable to Strike Raid, which makes you completely invincible, and you can spam it. So Sephiroth essentially becomes one button win, which to me is not really a tough boss. Without that, is kind of a tough boss. And I would go as far to say that the Unknown fight is harder, in my opinion, because he beat me up a bunch of times and I killed Sephiroth on my second try. You know, and in his defense, poor Sephi, I did beat him on the original version of the game back when the game came out. But even then, he beat me up a lot and he was a really, really tough fight. And that wasn't on Proud, because on the original game there was only Expert, and Expert is not half the difficulty Proud is. And even then, you know, once you get comfortable, once you get Cure and Leaf Bracer, Proud difficulty gets a lot easier. But thank you for watching anyhow, guys, and I hope the guide is helping. And all that's left to be said is you take care now.